Okay, good morning, everyone. The online meeting of the Windward Planning Commission will now come to order. It is Thursday, December 3rd, 2020. The time now is 9:11. Based on the governor's proclamation related to the COVID-19 emergency, we are holding this meeting online. This is to maintain physical distancing and to prevent the spread of COVID-19. The public can observe this meeting on YouTube live streaming by following the link provided on the county website or by using the URL advertised on the agenda. The video recording will be accessible on the same YouTube channel for those who are not able to watch it live. The background reports on the agenda items, which included the applications and the planning director's recommendations reports, are available on the county website. The minutes and transcripts will also be posted on the county website at a later date. With respect to public testimony, the commission has received additional written testimony from the public regarding today's agenda items. There are no testifiers registered to provide oral testimony for today's meeting. I'd like to remind all the participants the protocol at online meeting, which silence your phone. Only one person may speak at a time. Raise your hand to be recognized by the chair before you speak. Speak directly into your microphone and keep your microphone muted while you're not speaking. If you talk over each other or if your microphone picks up noise that will make the speaker's statement inaudible and it cannot be transcribed. Thank you for your cooperation. With that, I'd like to introduce the fellow commissioners. When you are called, please raise your hand. Vice Chair John Replogo. Commissioner Dean Au.
Good morning.
Commissioner John Clarkson. Joe Clarkson. You got you down here, John. Sorry, Joe, sorry. And I'm Thomas Rafferty, the chair. Later on, we will have Commissioner Aguinaldo joining the commission. At this time, we have quorum are required to hold this meeting. The following staff are also in attendance. Deputy Corporation Counsel Malia Hall, attorney for the commission. Planning Director Michael Yee. Deputy Corporation Counsel John Mukai, attorney for the Planning Director. Planning Program Manager Jeff Darrow. Planner Maya Jackson. Planner Tracy Lee Camaro. Commission Secretary Melissa Tacanan Salvador. And also assisting the commission and staff today is Director Secretary Rochelle Lay, who is hosting this virtual meeting. With that, let's proceed to our business on the agenda. Just to remind everyone that the agenda item number 1 was withdrawn by the applicant. So we'll go directly to agenda item number 2 that was published on the addendum to the agenda. This one is a planning director's initiated item, an ordinance amending chapter 25 zoning code, article 1, article 2, article 4, article 5, and article 7 of the Hawaii County Code 1983, the 2016 edition, as amended, relating to definitions, use permit requirements, off-street parking requirements, and zoning district regulations for medical clinics and massage, acupuncture, chiropractic, and other small-scale health service facilities. I think Tracy will be making the staff presentation. Tracy, floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair. Let me just start sharing my screen with you all. Can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Yes.
Good morning, Chair and members of the Windward Planning Commission. As stated, this is a Planning Director initiated amendment to the zoning code relating to the definitions, parking requirements, use permit requirements, and zoning district regulations for medical clinics, massage, acupuncture, chiropractic, and other similar health service facilities. The following slides will reflect the proposed amendments that the Director has made to the first ordinance that staff presented to you in November. The new proposed amendments are to address the concerns raised at the previous Leeward Planning Commission meeting. This proposed ordinance is to create a process for these health service facilities to the planning department and get any necessary approvals for. By now, you should have received the revised recommendation as well as the Planning Department Exhibit 2, which is the proposed ordinance that I will be discussing in the following slides. With that, we'll begin with the proposed Amendment 1. This is relating to the definition of a medical clinic. Currently, the definition of a medical clinic states that chiropractic and massage treatment and services are not included as a medical clinic. The Planning Director is now proposing that the definition of a medical clinic be amended to include massage, acupuncture, chiropractic, and other similar health service facilities as a use defined under the medical clinic definition. This proposed amendment will now allow for massage, acupuncture, chiropractic, and other similar health service facilities to come into the department under that medical clinic definition and in any area that a medical clinic is already defined, or we will define where it's going to be a permitted use in. Also, a part of the Director's proposed amendment number 1 is to the personal service establishment definition. The personal service establishment definition currently includes massage facilities and chiropractic clinics as permitted under the personal service definition. The Planning Director is still proposing that the removal of massage facilities and chiropractic clinics be taken out of the personal service definition so that the personal service definition includes non-medical services such as hair salons. The Director has proposed to remove and other similar uses devoted to the care of the treatment of the aged, the sick, or the infirm out of the hospital definition located in the use permit section because the department has historically considered these uses as medical clinics. Therefore, proposed amendment number 2 clarifies where these uses will be better suited. This slide also shows that the Director is proposing that a medical clinic can apply for a use permit in any of the 6 districts listed on the screen. This slide also addresses the Leeward Planning Commission's previous concerns that a use permit should be required for these uses within the RM district. Planning staff was considering this code amendment. We still found that there is a conflict with our off-street parking requirements and the proposed amendments. Therefore, Planning Department staff is taking this opportunity to rectify the conflict and discrepancies with the parking section of our code, which leads us to the last proposed amendment, number 3, which is proposing to add off-street parking requirements for commercial uses within the RS, RD, and RM zoning. Again, these proposed amendments are to better define these uses and clarify in which zoning districts these uses will be permitted with a use permit or be allowed as an outright permitted use. Therefore, the Planning Director is recommending that the Planning Commission send a favorable recommendation of the Planning Department Exhibit 2 to the Hawaii County Council. With that, that concludes my presentation and I can open the floor to any discussion.
Thank you very much, Tracy. Appreciate the presentation. Any questions from the commissioners?
Yes,
Go ahead, Joe.
I have a question for the Director. And it's what is the background problem or issue that has driven this proposed change in definition?
It came from various applicants coming to us, but Jeff Darrow has the most experience with these kinds of issues. So I'm going to let Jeff address it.
Aloha, Joe. Commissioner Clarkson. What happened basically is we were trying to, we had received a number of requests for massage, chiropractic, and acupuncture type businesses. And basically they were falling under the definition of personal service uses. The reason why this is coming back to the commission, I mean, this is our second time bringing it, is before we had separated those uses out and identified them on their own. When we went before the Leeward Planning Commission, they struggled with that and felt like it would be more appropriate and it was more in line to be placed under the medical clinic definition, rather than separating them. Even though Windward Planning Commission voted favorably to send up the original bill, the director agreed that did make sense to just put those uses together with medical clinic and make it very clear whether you're having, whether you're a doctor, or a dentist, or you're a massage therapist, or a chiropractic, acupuncture, or any other new type of health-related service that comes forward, it would go through a similar process of a use permit within certain districts, or it would be outright permitted where a medical clinic was permitted, mainly in the commercial zoning districts and some of the other districts. But that's the purpose of bringing this bill back to the commission, is to bring it in line with the medical clinic and clarify the process to become either permitted through a use permit or an outright permitted use.
Thank you, Mr. Darrow. Any other questions? Any other
Thank you.
follow-up questions?
Joe, you might be on mute. Sorry about that.
I was on mute when I said thank you, but yeah.
Oh, I think I'm on mute.
Any other questions from the commission? Director E, do you have anything to add to this?
Nothing.
I do have it's just a nagging concern that other similar services is so broad that, anything to do with the body will qualify. What about a gym where you're working on your musculature? What about facilities that fit prosthetic shoes for your feet? I mean, are those all covered elsewhere, or are they just going to get swept up? They are. Now, Jeff, you're on mute.
A gym or a health establishment is identified under the definition of indoor amusement and recreational facility. So those are clearly defined in the code. As far as prosthetics, this is, I think that would be more of a retail establishment or a type of manufacturing facility versus a health-related occupation where they're providing a health service. We struggled. I mean, the only reason why we put in other health-related services or left that in because we're just not sure of new technologies and services that will become available in the future. People have identified some pretty unique services that have been coming out with, what was the latest? Yeah, cupping was one, but that kind of goes with massage. There's some other unique services, but mainly I think we're covering a majority of the ones that we see. Just wanted to have that ability to identify new health type services that might come online and direct them through a use permit or a permitted use.
Okay, thank you. I understand.
Question, who will make the determination what if they fall under that's other similar health service facilities?
It would normally be the planning director at the time. If it's really questionable, we'll have the applicant submit a request for a determination, and the planning director will determine what that particular use is identified most appropriately, whether it is a health service or whether it's identified elsewhere in the code.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? I'd like to acknowledge Commissioner Aguinaldo joining the meeting. Do we have any other questions from the commission?
I have one.
Go ahead, Commissioner Aguinaldo.
So based upon what I've heard, medical, I experienced myself, Jeff knows, now to the credibility of our county, right? And us commissioners, I would think that, you know, as far as medical use, like we're talking about prosthetic, we're talking about, I don't know, working out, right? Like, you know, that was one of our discussion about gyms, fitness. And we also talk about cupping. Now, these people that are applying for that, they have, of course, they're going to do their homework with knowledge of what does it interpret. So should we kind of familiarize ourselves, do the investigation, what we see now on our county, what might come up, what's on the table now, what might come in the future, so we don't kind of like be in the dark, you know, on it. I mean, the cupping, what they do, they heat them up, they put them on top of you, you know, it's some kind of healing or, you know, whatever they call it. You know, it's a, like Jeff said, it falls under massage. Is it truly fall under massage, masseuse? Because you're not using your hands, right? You're using one cup. So to define this medical, the spectrum is so big. What do we see out there right now? You know, what people are doing. You know, is we gotta be kind of like we gotta be above the curve, guys. Because if I came in and I had more knowledge than the county, I'm already schooled then. So kind of like, you know, what do we see out there right now that people are kind of coming or introducing or doing?
John's going to answer.
Go ahead, Mr. Darrow.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. One of the ones, the uses that we wanted to try to, sometimes it can be overwhelming to try to be over exhaustive in our definitions where we place a wide variety of different types of uses. And that's why we kept the more significant ones that we see on a regular basis more in the definition, and then left some flexibility for additional. The ones that we see on an occasional basis that we're familiar with are the more naturopathic type facilities that come up, but they're very healthy, and they would be identified as a similar health-related facility and required to go through a similar process. And again, part of those naturopathic type facilities, they have all these different unique types of therapies that are being introduced, and they're always changing, you know. So we wanted to try to keep that more general in nature. And again, it usually is pretty easy to identify a use that is health related versus something that may be different. And again, the way we do that is by looking if in the code, if that particular use is more clearly identified in another section of the code, similar to like what we were mentioning, gyms and health facilities, the health and wellness facilities. Those are clearly identified in the code and separated from these types of uses. Hopefully that answers your question and concerns.
Thank you.
Mr. Replogo,
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As to Commissioner Aguinaldo's, he mentioned the cupping. Cupping is like a tool of a masseuse. It would be like a doctor saying, I would like you to have an x-ray. And you're not going to get parking just for x-ray. It comes under medical. And so the cupping is a tool of massage. Anyway, that just to clear that up. Thank you.
thank you for the
Thank you.
clarification. Any other questions, comments from the commission?
Mr. Chair, I have a question.
Go ahead, sir.
Actually, no, I don't have a question. I just have a comment I want to make, but it's more appropriate to do it in discussion. I'd like to make a motion first. Some of these things that we're discussing can be in the discussion rather than a question form. So I'll just go ahead and make a motion, and then we can discuss. Is that possible? Is that okay?
That's okay if there's no other questions from the commission. Any other questions?
No,
Okay,
not at this time.
Mr. Al, go
Okay,
ahead and make your motion.
Mr. Chair, can I make a motion?
Go ahead, Mr.
Okay,
Al.
I move that a favorable recommendation be sent to the county council on ordinance amending chapter 25 based on the planning director's recommendation, which shall be adopted.
Any second?
I second that.
It is moved and second that we send a favorable recommendation. And all those who, go ahead.
Mr. Chair, could I make a comment?
Go ahead.
Okay,
Is that pertain to your motion?
yes.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I made the motion and I support my motion because I feel the planning director and the planning department is making an effort to tighten up the rules. You know, over the course, over the years and as things happen, you know, the planning department has difficulty dealing with certain situations. And I think this is just making it easier for the planning department to deal with it. And as a follow-up to Commissioner Aguinaldo, you know, a lot of these services that are defined under medical condition, a lot of these services need, I don't know how to say it, but they somewhat need some kind of education to provide some of these services. You know, it's not like they're doing, you know, like the massage, they have to have some kind of training to do that kind of stuff. Whereas when you have a gymnasium or a use like that, you don't really need training. That's more like a business. But you know, as far as medical terms, you know, under medical clinics, it's like services provided to the body, wellness of an individual, whether it's their mind or their physical body. So again, I just think that the planning department's just trying to tighten up their rules and trying to just put everything into one bucket so it's easier to assess those things. But you know, it's good to bring up a lot of those things because, you know, for us as commissioners, you know, we represent people in our districts and in the community. So, but those are just my thoughts. So thank you.
All right. Thank you, Commissioner Au. So the motion, it's motion by Mr. Au and seconded by Mr. Replogo that a favorable recommendation be forwarded to County Council on the ordinance amending Hawaii County Code, Chapter 25, based on the Planning Director's recommendation, which shall be adopted. Any further discussion on that? No discussion? Okay, well, let's proceed into vote. I'll have the staff take the roll call vote.
Thank you, Chair. Commissioner Au,
Aye.
Commissioner Replogo,
Aye.
Commissioner Aguinaldo,
Aye.
Commissioner Clarkson,
Aye.
and Chair Rafferty.
Aye.
Thank you. The motion carries 5-0.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you, staff, for all the work that you put into this. So at this time, Commissioners, I trust that you received and reviewed the minutes for the November 5th meeting. Any corrections or could I get a motion to approve?
I move that the minutes of the last meeting be approved as presented.
I
I
second
second.
that.
Who second that now?
Gilbert.
It's been moved by Mr. Clarkson and seconded by Mr. Aguinaldo that we approve the November 5th, 2020 meeting minutes. All those who in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? So all in favor. No good. All pass. Unanimous. So now we'll go to the administrative matters. And we have come to that time again, the election of officers, the time that I had been looking forward to from the day that I was sick and you guys elected me to be the chair. But before we do that, I just want to take some time to, as a chair, before I gave up the gavel to the next chair, I'd like to make some remarks here. First, I'd like to thank the commissioners for working with me, helping me through, guiding me through this responsibility as a chair for the commission. Our job has been challenging, but at the end, we know we represent the best interest of our people, the community of the Windward side of the Big Island. And I thank you for your sacrifice, giving up your time to volunteer for this. This sometimes it can be thankful or thankless job. So thank you. The staff, I'd like to thank you for supporting the commission. We cannot ask for better staff to help us, guide us, and assist us in carry out our responsibility. Jeff and your team, you guys have been outstanding and fabulous. From me to you and from the commission to you, I'd like to thank you very, very much for all your support. And finally, I'd like to recognize and thank our director, Michael Yee. Michael, thank you for, I know you've probably got a lot of heat as a planning director. I know that because I've seen past directors sitting in hot seats all the time. So I know it's not a very comfortable seat, but know that on behalf of the commission, we thank you for your leadership. Thank you for all the work that you've done. I know you moved your family here and to serve the community and the people of Big Island. And with that, I thank you for all that you've done. Like I said, it's not always a popular job, as you always under the scrutiny of the public. But know that those of us who know what you do, and all the stuff that you have to go through, all the hardship, all the work that you have to do to carry out the responsibility, we know that you have done a lot. I know that you have always been clear eye on the law, the ordinance, and I know that there are some times where the commissions do not agree with your recommendation. But we all know that both you and us, we're all working in the best interest of the community of the Big Island. So we know where your heart is, and cannot thank you enough, Director Yi, for all the stuff that you have, all the work that you have done for the people of the Big Island. So with that, from the commission and from me personally, I would like to say thank you, Mr. Yi. So with that, I'm gonna ask Director Yi if he has anything something to share with us before I turn the gavel over to the next chair.
Thank you for those kind words, Tom. Going to go off script here a little bit to say, 4 years ago during my confirmation hearing, I said I was the luckiest man alive. I was able to move my born and raised Hilo wife here, bring our now six-year-old son home, and with the dream to get him into a Hawaiian immersion school, which he did start with. And we're raising him to be a Hawaiian warrior, and we're happy about that. So I'm not going anywhere, and was happy to serve. But getting back to script, yes, I do have a prepared statement that I do want to read. First, mahalo to you and to the Leeward Planning Commissioners for your volunteer service. You are one of the most influential groups on this island and represent a variety of interests. You are seldom recognized for your service, but know that the planning department staff deeply understands the manao you bring and truly appreciate your service to guide the future of Hawaii Island. There was recently an article in the newspaper where an elected official questioned the integrity of the planning department and by inference, the planning commissions. Such an accusation is offensive to me, and since I was not given an opportunity to address this opinion that was absent of any evidence, I will take time to address it here in my last public meeting. To allege that the planning department and the planning commission does not follow the law is just plain not true. There are checks and balances to decisions, and if it was true, we are not following the law, we would see far more challenges via appeals and lawsuits. I challenge any elected official who wants to question the integrity of the commissioners or the planners in this department against their integrity. How many times have you changed your ordinances or removed conditions for a donor? How many times have you passed a resolution instead of an ordinance because you lack the political courage to address a controversial issue head on with your voting constituents? We live in a politicized world, but to support a political appointee by questioning the integrity of the dedicated planning department staff and the planning commissioners is shameful. If I sound defensive, it's because your integrity is worth defending. Moving on to more pleasantries. I need to thank Darren Arai, Dwayne Kanuha, and April Supernaut, who served as deputy directors. They are my kumus, my mentors, but most of all, my trusted friends. They helped me be a better planning director. I recently visited Dwayne. I just want you to know that he is enjoying retirement and spending time with his granddaughter. I want to acknowledge the staff of about 80 in the planning department. They process about 2,000 permits a year and answer thousands of inquiries each year. The staff help thousands of people each year navigate complex land use policies and zoning codes. They are also the visionaries for a better future for the island, something that is needed if future generations of this island are to have a vibrant and sustainable lifestyle here. Mahalo to the staff who accepted me into their ohana 4 years ago. Lastly, mahalo to Rochelle. Private secretary is such an outdated title, but it also does not accurately capture what she does and her value to me as a planning director and as a friend. The first decision by the new planning director was to reappoint Rochelle. So I can tell you his first decision was the right decision. With that, mahalo to all of you and aloha to you all.
Thank you very much, Director Yi. Well said. And yeah.
Well
Awesome.
said.
Yeah, know that we support you. And you know, I failed to also mahalo our staff from the Corporation Council office. They have been our guide, our compass whenever we go astray. Malia had always been very on point with us to make sure that she keep us in check. So our mahalo to the office of the Corporation Council.
Indeed.
So with that, let's move on. I'm ready to give up the gavel right now. So let's move on to the next item on the agenda, which is to elect our new leaders for the next calendar year. So at this time, staff, how do we normally do this? Because I was not here when this commission.
John, you're next, John.
Do we just make a volunteer? Do we just say I vote for or I recommend so and so, and then we put them on for a vote? How do we normally do this, staff?
Normally, there's someone missing, but in this, we don't have anyone missing. So, what normally happens is someone chooses to nominate a fellow commissioner, and then we do a vote on it. With that said, the commission can still consider the current chair as part of that nomination.
Thank you very much, Jeff. I really appreciate your vote of confidence. But I think we need to spread the aloha throughout Big Island. So now Puna had the opportunity to hold the chairmanship. So I think another district, can well serve the Big Island. So at this time, I need a motion for recommendation.
I would like to recommend, if I could make a recommendation, would be like what Tom said. Me and Tom serves in the Puna district. It's nice to spread, like he said, the opportunity for the other districts. But because Joe is under Tom, I would like to recommend John, Prop Logo, if he's willing to.
I second that nomination.
All right, and okay. So what do we do? So we vote on the chair first, and then we vote on the vice chair after, or we make the whole, just make a slate. Okay, all right. Okay, so there's a motion. There's a motion. Motion by Commissioner Aguinaldo and seconded by Commissioner Clarkson that we elect John Raplogo from the Ka'u district as the chairman of the Planning Commission for the next calendar year. Any discussion?
Yes, I have a comment and discussion.
Go
Um,
ahead, Mr. Al.
So Chairman Rafapi, we want to thank you for serving as chair through this COVID time. I want to send a special thanks to our planning director and our planning staff. This has been a challenging year for everybody, staff, the director, our commission, and I just want to make a comment on the parting words for our planning director. You know, our job as commissioners, we are volunteer, and that's what the public doesn't remember, and that's what a lot of some other people do not remember. That we're here, we're not getting paid. We're here volunteering and representing our district. Everybody around us is getting paid, but not us. And I just want to make a point that he did his parting words and his rebuttal to some comments made in the paper. You know, I appreciate that. You know, we are here volunteer, and this WebEx meeting is very challenging for a lot of us. You know, not a lot of us are computer savvy. It's way easier for us to go down once a month and sit in the hearings rather than doing this. It's not that easy for us. So thank you, planning director. Thank you, our outgoing chair. And I'm honored to be part of this body. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Al. Appreciate that. Any other discussion?
Well, on that note, I first of all, I'd like to assure John he will be a fine chairperson, but ask him if he is willing to do it. I think we need to get that acknowledgement dragged out of him before we vote.
Well,
Okay with it, John?
I think Mr. Clarkson, I was not afforded that opportunity.
Well, you weren't here.
Oh.
So
Well,
thank you. Yeah.
he's smiling, so I'm assuming the answer is yes. But I
saw the smile too, Mr. Clarkson.
I would like to say I am honored that you would like me to try do this, and I am making laulaus today, and I was gonna call in sick, but I thought, oh, I better be there or they'll appoint me. Anyway, I'm happy to serve. Happy to.
Thank you.
Nervous,
Thank you.
but happy to.
And I would
I would also like to say a huge mahalo to Director Yi for all he's done for us, and the reports we get, the staff, everything is I personally couldn't ask for more. Thank you.
I'd like to third that, I guess, second, both of them. I was absolutely flabbergasted that you weren't reappointed. I can't imagine anybody doing a better job, honestly, especially stepping into a new life in a new island. You hit the ground running and never stopped. I just don't understand, I guess, county politics as well as I should. But I was really surprised. And also, thank you so much for the job you've done for the county.
Thank you. I want to add that 4 years ago when I said that I was the luckiest man for being selected as planning director, I forgot to add that I'm the luckiest man alive for not being reappointed too.
Oh.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hey,
Any other
Mr. Chair, I have a comment as well.
Go ahead,
On behalf
Mr.
of myself, residents in the district of Puna and on Big Island, I'd like to thank Michael Yee As being our planning director, I learned a lot from him. Off the record, that only Michael knows, Darren Arai knows, and Jeff knows. Before I became a commissioner, they guided me like Michael did, Jeff did, Darren did, Dwayne Kanuha did, because I didn't know a lot of stuff. But becoming, taking a leap of faith, like what Dean said, a lot of people don't know that we are public servants. We always got to remember that we serve the community and the public. We're not appointed in what we do. We don't get paid, but we all need to do our part to do what is best for our community, uphold our integrity in all that we do for our community. But the past 4 years, that, yeah, Michael knows, Jeff knows, I've grown and learned a lot from these men. And as an individual and as a commissioner, I uphold the same values that these men that taught me a lot of stuff, what to bring forth to our community. And also for you, Tom, these past 12 months, you did unreal, and from Joel before as our past, chair. My gosh, man, I give you guys credit. It's a lot of heat, guys. So maybe this time around, I like this WebEx because it's different. We're not there presently in public with the people, and it's easier to make a decision because they cannot reach or yell at us, or they cannot reach us. But it's been challenging. But this next coming year, we as a body of commissioners, we got to do what is best for our community. Look at the best interests and values that we can present to all these applicants that come before us. But it's like that bond. We need to have that tight bond to come to an agreement in our decisions, and just come together with, God created all of us with different opinions, and he gave us all different talents. And goes to Michael, God always has a different plan for his, he has a wonderful journey ahead. And thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Aguinaldo. Appreciate that. Any other comments before we go ahead and vote? All right. So how do we do the vote, staff? Do we just voice vote, or you take a tally?
A voice vote should be sufficient. Thank you.
Okay, it is motion was moved that we elect John Replogle as our chair for the next calendar year. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Congratulations, Mr. Replogle. Right now, the floor is open for the election of our vice chair. Nomination.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a nomination.
Go ahead, Mr. Al.
I nominate Commissioner Aguinaldo as our vice chair if he's willing to accept.
I saw him smiling.
He's in.
Thank you. It's a move that we nominate Commissioner Aguinaldo as vice chair. Any second?
A second.
All right. Is any discussion? Well, I just want to say that these two, with John Replogle and Aguinaldo as our new leaders for the next calendar year, I think we're going to be fabulous. We're going to be in good hands. So, with that, I'd like to, if there's no other comments, I'd like to go ahead and conduct a vote right now. All those in favor of Aguinaldo to serve as our vice chair the next calendar year, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Gentlemen, I'd like to congratulate you for being our leaders next calendar year. John Replogle as our chair and Gilbert Aguinaldo as our vice chair. With that, I'd like to go ahead and move on to the next item on the agenda. Any discussion, any questions on the SMA that was sent out a few weeks ago? I do not have any. All right, let's move on.
Chair FFP.
Go ahead, Mr. Dow.
Thank you. Just a quick follow-up. At our last meeting, Commissioner Clarkson had asked a question about a $39 million house in the SMA.
Yes, sir.
And we follow up on that. That actually was a residence located in Kaupolehu, which is a higher end development. The development is actually covered under an SMA major. So it actually was part of a larger SMA permit. But it was also not situated along the shoreline, as well as it was under 7,500 square feet in size. And so it was covered.
Well, then I just have a question. Why did, if it was covered under a major permit, why was it even necessary for it to get an additional permit?
The short form assessment is done when a building permit comes in through the planning department that's in the SMA. If it's in the SMA but not along the shoreline, it won't require the SMA assessment application. They do what's called a short form assessment, which is again just done at the building department or the planning clerk level, where they just confirm that it does not require an additional permit.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any announcement from the staff?
Not at this time. Just again want to thank you, Chair Raffapi, for your service in the last year. We had some really tough applications, especially with the cell towers, among others. And you just did a fantastic job, and we really appreciate all of your service. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well, I'd like to wish everybody happy holidays. Be safe out there. And with that, I need a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So move.
Second.
Let's move in second that we adjourn the meeting. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? All right, right now the meeting is adjourned and it's 10:04. Thank you very much.